Hi, this is Jessica Lewis and Shayla Bernardo in two different time zones. How are you doing, Shayla?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. So today we're going to talk a little bit about Shayla's background and her business. Shayla in 2016 started Black Girls Wine. She noticed there wasn't a space for um, women of color to connect and work together and grow. So she decided to do something about it and she started a business. So we're going to talk about that today. Time to Wine is a live broadcast the second and the fourth Monday of the month at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. The live stream broadcast is on the first and third Friday of the month at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. These are broadcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. So if you need to connect with us there. So Shayla, I'm going to ask you first about your work history. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your work history?
Okay. I have been an entrepreneur since 2011. That's when I founded my first business. I started, or I should say, first businesses. Started a coaching program. Business strategy has always been something that has come natural to me. I'm very creative and very good at coming up with creative solutions to grow a business. And so that was something that I really wanted to build a business around. At the same time, I was in corporate. Corporate was not fulfilling for me because it didn't give me any creative outlet, and the talents and skills that I did have, they were never really used to their full capacity in corporate. And it wasn't for lack of trying. It was just, the opportunities weren't there. And so on my journey through corporate and being a business owner, I found myself looking around the wine industry, starting Black Girls Wine. And in 2019, I quit my corporate job so I could launch Black Girls Wine Society.
Oh, wonderful. I've been an entrepreneur for many, many years, and I've done it also I've done it in the evening or under the umbrella of having another position. And this is the first time I've just kind of branched out into straight fear and just went for it without having a position under it. And I'm working about 50 hours a week on my own business as well. So, why did you start Black Girls Wine Society?
I started the society because, for one, when I first launched Black Girls Wine, everybody was like, "Oh my God, you should have a wine club." And I was like, I mean, yeah, I could have a wine club, but why would I send out wine? Like, there's hundreds of clubs that already do that. Like, wineries do it, and then there's all these other pop-ups. I wasn't interested, and I wanted something that would be more engaging for the individuals. So I think it's more fun when women can get together. And my experience in corporate had been very interesting. And I just never felt like there was a safe space for me there. And there wasn't really many places that I could go. A lot of my friends weren't wine lovers. There were a few who are, but a lot of them weren't. And so I didn't really have that as an outlet or opportunity for engagement either. And so I saw the need for it, and I was like, I'm going to do this. And even though historically no sorority or society has been founded by one person, I didn't realize how big of an undertaking that was. But I'm really glad that I did it, and it's been a great experience.
How have you gotten the word out to start the different groups?
It has been all word of mouth. I mean, I spent the first 3 years building Black Girls Wine and building the lifestyle brand side of it. So I always wanted Black Girls Wine to kind of be the Nike, and then the society would be the just do it part, right? So I knew that I had to build the brand and build the awareness for what Black Girls Wine was, and give my audience the opportunity to connect with the mission behind it. And so it's all been word of mouth.
Oh, that's wonderful. Word of mouth that's what's this Time to Wine broadcast has been word of mouth, and I'm kind of spread from country to country. So it goes. So in the UK, I was just connected with about 10 people. So it just kind of goes from person to person that way. So please tell us about your Black Girls Wine podcast and your featured guest and when people can watch.
So originally I started the podcast as an opportunity to engage and kind of create this space. But the podcast turned out to be quite a bit of work. And it was more than I knew I'd be able to keep up with long term. So to protect the integrity of it, I did a season and then I continued on with Wind Down Live, which is my pop-up style show that used to be weekly. It's my third year doing it. And so the first 2 years it was every single Wednesday. And so this year, with the weight of building the society and putting structure and systems in place so that it can far outlast me, I needed more time. So like you putting in that 50, 60 hours a week, having the show every week didn't work. So I always tell people stay tuned and make sure you're on the email list because I will send an email out when I'm going live.
Okay, great. And so when you were going live, what was your audience interaction like? How was this working for you to create a brand?
Yeah, it gives people the chance to be able to interact, to ask questions. I've enjoyed it, and my audience has enjoyed it because it gives them a chance to hear firsthand somebody trying a wine. And let's be honest, like for real, when I started the show, it was just kind of like, okay, at the end of the day, when the everyday person, not the wine expert, not the wine professional, when the everyday person is going to buy a wine, they just want to know how it tastes. That's it. And so
Right.
that was my whole goal for starting the show, and it continues to be my whole goal for continuing it is being able to share wines that I'm finding, what I think, how I like it, and kind of sharing what I learn along the way.
And from what I'm hearing when you're talking, it sounds like you're a very strong leader.
Leadership is something I'm very passionate about. I believe in operating in your leadership. I've had a leadership coach for about 3 or 4 years. And, I just find that when it comes to leadership, it applies to every area of your life. I've learned a lot about leadership just from being married, in friendships and personal relationships. And when it comes to showing up in business and for my business, making sure that I can live up to the promise and the delivery of the brand I created.
I'm known to have very strong leadership skills as well. So, okay, so what are the benefits? So, how does someone become a member of Black Girl Wine, and what are the benefits?
Yeah, so we offer quite a few perks, but when it comes to the overall value of membership, it's so much deeper than just the wine. And with this rebrand and relaunch, we are focusing our efforts on building and empowering Black women in leadership, and also empowering them on their wine journey. So we offer the opportunity for our members to learn from leadership experts, and offer the opportunity for them to learn from wine experts as well. So it's kind of building out the entire woman, right? And then we offer luxury experiences and travel. So we get to kind of tap into affecting her life in a really positive way. So you can become a member by getting on our wait list. We send out our initial invitations to join out to our wait list. And I think currently there's about 3,500 people on it. So definitely get on it because space is limited. And we open up membership a few times a year. So our next open enrollment will be in July of 2021.
And hopefully in July of 2021, I wanted to ask you this in terms of COVID.
Mhm.
So here, theoretically, we can go out without our mask and we can hug and we don't have to have any social distancing. However, we're already all wearing masks. But what's happening where you are with COVID, and how have you shifted during this unprecedented pandemic?
Yeah. During the pandemic, it's funny because in January 2020, I had a thought to start a virtual membership because I knew that it didn't make sense to have chapters everywhere. I mean, there are just some states where you just don't have the access. You don't have the wine access. I know some states don't even allow shipping outside of the state. Like every state is different. And so I knew that eventually we would need a virtual membership. And COVID was kind of like that push out the door for me to figure out how to make that work. And so during COVID, we launched our virtual membership. We also launched our virtual events calendar, which we'll always have. We're not getting rid of that because it gives us the opportunity to learn about wine from people around the world. And so our virtual events calendar will always be there. We have an East Coast and a West Coast virtual chapter, and it's grown tremendously. During COVID, our local memberships grew and our virtual memberships grew. And it gave people the opportunity to safely expand their circle, so to speak. So, like, you may not be able to get out, but the same women that you see every month, couple times a month, you guys are able to get together and have wine, and they felt safe and felt good doing it. So I encourage them to enjoy each other.
And did you also do connecting via Zoom?
Yeah.
Or did people did your chapters connect with each other virtually? How did that work?
Yeah. So what was really cool during the pandemic is that because it forced us to go virtual, it actually gave us the opportunity to get to know each other more. Because then you have people in San Francisco who are now meeting their society sisters in Atlanta, right? So at first it was just your chapter, your group, and now what Zoom has empowered us to be able to do is to be able to connect across the country and around the world. We have members from around the world. So now, you can meet your society sister who may be in Bermuda and you are in Chicago, but now you guys are able to meet and build a relationship. So Zoom has been our BFF during the pandemic. And we had to get all of our accounts all set up and everything. It was a journey learning it, but it's been
Yes.
so.
And do you think as we move, well, we don't know exactly what's going to happen with COVID, but
Right.
let's say we move back to where we're not wearing masks and we're not social distancing. Do you think that the virtual aspect will stay?
Mhm.
That, or do you think that you'll go back to a traditional format?
We will definitely keep our virtual membership because, like I said, some places in our country it just doesn't make sense to have a chapter, and the demand isn't necessarily there, and so a virtual also allows us to, like, one of our partners, we're partnered with an Armenian wine company. And so, like, you think about stuff like that. So being able to keep our members connected, being able to offer membership to people who may not have a chapter in their city yet, and then also being able to connect with the wine industry as a whole around the world. We have our Armenian wine tasting in June, and we're super excited about it. And our partners are in a completely different time zone than any of us. So the virtual is definitely going to be here to stay, and we hope to be able to share our platform with our partners and be able to help them grow.
Do you so we were talking a little bit about your branding and how you okay. So you've talked a little bit about rebranding and your branding, and then you're marketing your business nationally. Do
Mhm.
you want to expand a little bit more on that?
Yeah. So originally, um, in launching, right, you got to know what your sweet spot is. What are you good at? And for me, I know that business strategy is something that I excel in. It's why I coach in it. Really great at coming up with creative solutions and that kind of stuff. But when it comes to branding, I'm no expert. And so I knew that I would need to bring in a professional to really help transition the organization where I want it to go. And so I am thinking long term when it comes to the society and helping the members and the women who are supporting and a part of this organization create a legacy. So it's not just that we're sitting around drinking wine, but it's that they're empowered on their leadership journey. They get promoted because of something they learned during a taste and educate session, right? And then because they get promoted, it allows them to send their daughter to a better college. And then their daughter gets a job with a member of the society. And then she becomes a member shortly after. So, thinking long term about where this organization is going, how it can empower and affect the Black community as well as the wine community, and how the organization can give back to our members who are investing in us. And so, that is what the rebrand has been about. It's been about giving more to our members and more to our community.
Okay. So let's talk about your trademark. When did you register your trademark?
The attorney has been working on that since 2019. It was it's been interesting. So we registered it in 2019 and we didn't have any issues. So we've been waiting to hear back from the trademark office forever.
Okay. And then are you planning with your trademark?
Mm-hmm.
Are you planning to expand that to your own product line?
I don't know. I don't know. Right now, the society is a beast in itself. It's a beast to have to run, training, keeping people, everybody together, having the right people in place, and at the rate we're growing so quickly, I don't even. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. So
Not there. So don't ask these questions. Okay.
I'm like, I'm not there yet. Maybe in like 5, 10 years, maybe.
This is long-term plans. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of your long-term plans, are you planning to have an office, have a team full of people? Are you planning to be the person that hires people? Are you planning to be the CEO that employs a great deal of people? Or are you planning to be a one-man CEO? What's happening?
Definitely not a one-man show. I completely don't have the bandwidth to do it all alone. I currently have a team of 11 women and definitely foresee growing the team. I hope to have at least 2 to 3 full-time employees by the end of the year. Um, and I definitely plan on, we'll have a home office soon. I won't say when, but we will have a home office soon enough. My husband is ready for me to continue growing the business outside of this office. He has allowed me to take over in our home. So we'll have an office, and I definitely will have a support staff and everything like that. I think being able to offer jobs to other women in their area of expertise is something that excites me and makes me excited to get up in the morning and to keep doing the work of building the society, because if I can give somebody else the opportunity to be in their dream job, then I want to be able to do that.
I'd love to do that too. That's one of my dreams, to give someone else a dream job too. So, one thing I wanted to ask you about that is, well, we'll move forward. I'll think about it again in a minute because I lost my spot there.
Okay.
So, let's talk a little bit more about your branded products.
Uh-huh. Well, I don't have a ton, and we're actually getting ready to shut it down. So, well,
Okay.
getting ready to, we have completely shut it down. So moving forward, our products and brands, well, our product line will only be available for members to purchase. So we will be focusing on our members 100% moving forward, and they are the priority. So we won't have any other products available for a while.
Okay, but you have had pajamas and bags and things like that available to send out to the different groups and things, because I see that they're wearing t-shirts and
Mhm.
yeah. Are they all wearing the same t-shirts right now, or no, they do their own t-shirts? Okay.
They do, yeah. It's a chapter. I let them locally. I let my chapter presidents, who we call our CPs. I let our CPs know, like, if you want to have a chapter shirt or whatever, just submit it for review. Once it's reviewed, it's good to go. We will have more branded items coming out this year, which I'm excited about because we officially have a crest for the organization. So that was really fun to see it come to life. And so we'll have more things that are added into the store, and you'll see more branded products that our members will be able to purchase, and that we'll send out and all that good stuff. So it's coming.
Okay, great. So how do you market your brand on social media? So what would you say is here's what I wanted to ask you first.
Uh-huh.
Entrepreneurs, we
Uh-huh.
all have stories. So I was talking to Dan in the UK, and apparently when he was starting his business, he and his brother moved back in with their mother.
Uh-huh.
They had quit their jobs, and their mother was handing them the telephone, which wasn't an ideal situation. So tell us one of your entrepreneurial stories, or one of the things that you think you learned the most from, or a funny story of I'm an entrepreneur. I'm sitting here dealing with fear, moving forward. What do you think? Tell us a story.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, I quit my job in 2014 to try and build my business before I got married. And I moved back home with my parents and I ate whatever they ate because I didn't have any money. And I did whatever they did because they were paying for it. And it was a great learning experience. I will say a lot of things that I learned from building a website to really refining my own graphic design talent. That fashion degree got put to work in graphic design as a business owner. So I think I learned to, I've always been a take initiative kind of person, but and entrepreneurship teaches you a different level of resourcefulness because if you really want it, it's gonna take work. And there is a point where you're doing everything right before you hire the team. And there is a point where it's super overwhelming because you have to do so much. But one thing I have learned is to be vocal, let people know when you need help. I always tell people, my CPs specifically, I tell them like, hey, if you have a talent and you see there's an area of opportunity for us, by all means reach out. Let us know because I can't guess on what you're good at, what you might be good at, and I can't see what I'm missing. That's why they're called blind spots. So I'll say my biggest lesson has been to be resourceful and to ask for help.
And I think I agree with you. I think I need about 11 interns right now because I'm sort of in the same situation with bandwidth. I've got so many things to do and I need to have a team of interns. So, and this would be a great learning experience for interns as well. So, okay. So how do you market your brand on social media?
Mhm.
What's working? What's not working? What are your tips for marketing yourself on different platforms? And what's, give us some tips.
So social media, connect with your audience as much as possible. When it comes to social media, what's going to perform well is what your audience wants to see. And sometimes we have been putting out content that doesn't necessarily connect with our audience because it's not valuable for them. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they can, and I'll say especially in the wine industry specifically, they can overwhelm people with the facts of wine, with the data of wine, and it's like all of that stuff is great. But again, like I said, at the end of the day, the average everyday wine drinker just wants to know how it tastes. And so a lot of times it's all about listening to your audience and really paying attention to what performs well. Watch your insights. If you see that people like when they see a little bit of your personality in a reel, then maybe you should try reels. If people like interacting with you live, my lives perform, they're our best performing posts whenever we are live. And so, go live. You've got to utilize what works for your audience.
One of the things when we were talking about audience, so I started a wine program at a university and it ended up strangely enough. So I'm a corporate executive. And so I went into a university and I was teaching business classes to business students. And I have a strong history of being a salesperson.
Mhm.
So I ended up taking students on tours. So I filled tour buses up with 21-year-olds and we went to Europe. And this went on for 4 years. And what I found in that situation is there's different wine drinkers like you're discussing. There's a group of people that know nothing about wine. They're still interested in going to wineries or Italian. So it's actually in tourism. So they're interested in going to the wineries. They're interested in sitting and having a glass of wine. They're interested in learning about wine. Then there's corporate executives. So I've got college students that were interested in this on that sort of level. I've got community members that are interested in wine tours on that level, as well as business people. And then there are people that are experts in wine
Mhm.
that are interested in going and talking to experts. So you could do different levels of tourism for different people as well. And wine is such a complicated subject on so many levels, including business, including, and like you said, the regular consumer. Many times they're interested in the landscape, the setting, the winery, and a glass of wine with some cheese, and that's it. So they're not as interested in the chemistry and the pairings and the business side of it. Okay, so what would be your top techniques for growing your followers?
I would say again, definitely listen to your audience, but I'm going to expand on that and tell you why. Because a lot of times people create content based on what they think is popular or what is really trending. And if you don't know your audience, then you are going to be creating content that doesn't connect and it won't perform well. So when it comes to growing your audience, you have to be really go into creating content knowing who they are and what they're looking for. So, for example, in building Black Girls Wine, I have always targeted Black women between the ages of 40 and 50 as my target audience. Now, on Instagram, that skews a little younger, so we can kind of play around with the content. But I'm still never going to be super trendy on any of our platforms because our audience doesn't call for very trendy things. Whereas I have a girlfriend who owns a organization as well. She's the founder, and her content is much different than ours, but her target audience is people that are our age. And so our content, we're both growing our following. Hers has grown faster because she's on the right platform for her audience and she's creating the right content for her audience. So it's really important. Knowing your audience is the biggest tip I can give you for growing your following. So, like, for instance, while she may have 4 times my followers on Instagram, that's who her target audience is. I have 4 times her audience on Facebook because my target audience is on Facebook. And
And
so,
then my target audience is primarily on Twitter, and I think Instagram. Sometimes Instagram skews younger.
mhm,
So if I'm reaching an older target audience, my following on Instagram is kind of low, and then that actually makes sense there.
mhm,
So tell us about Wind Down Live
mhm.
and when how we can watch it or how we follow you, and how do we connect with you on social media?
Yeah. So Wine Down Live
Yeah.
was the show that took over and really grew the platform. It's the weekly show where I review wines. It's pop-up style on Wednesdays. And so you got to be on the email list. And you can find us everywhere on social media as Black Girls Wine and Black Girls Wine Society on Facebook and Instagram.
Wonderful. I can't wait to see it. So what we're going to do here is the Time to Wine broadcast.
Mhm.
The actual broadcast is on the first and third Friday of the month. So I will premiere this video to on at 11 o'clock on a Friday, and I will announce the date for that and with a graphic.
Mhm.
And so I wanted to end with saying, Shayla, tell us about anything you think your dream plans for the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
What are you dreaming up for the future? What are your plans?
I am dreaming up that Black Girls Wine Society will be an international organization with thousands of members and a fully staffed home office where our members can drop in and have a glass, can come into town for events, and feel like they always have somewhere to call home, wherever our home office is. So I'm excited to see the society continue to grow and continue to connect with so many people in the wine industry who believe in the mission of empowering Black women leaders who love wine.
This question just came up, but you have a lot of influence. And the more that this network grows, you're going to have more influence. Are you using the influence for any sort of particular message? Or do you foresee that you'd be using your influence for particular messages in the future, whether they be political, whether they be um, messages in regard to leadership, or anything like that?
Definitely, probably the message going out is just that not only that Black women are great leaders and deserve the opportunities. I think we all know during Women History Month, all the stats come out. Black women are the lowest paid in almost every single industry. We're the lowest on a totem pole when it comes to national pay gap. It's huge. And so really empowering Black women to not be afraid to ask their worth, showing up in leadership spaces to make sure that they are reminded of the power of empowering the woman who is, the Black woman. And then probably not really political or anything. I am just very much all about pushing forward the community and exposing more of our community to luxury. That's another industry that we have kind of been left out of as a whole. And so bringing luxury to the Black community and delivering it in a way that is authentic and that we as a whole can connect with is important.
Okay. Okay. It's time to wine with Jessica Lewis and Shayla Bernardo. Thank you so much, Shayla. I appreciate you talking to me from different time zones. Which time zone are you in, by the way? Where are you located?
I am in Richmond, Virginia. I am on the East Coast.
And I am a Southern Belle in the Pacific Northwest. So I am in Eugene, Oregon, 3 hours apart. Okay. And thank you so much. And I will talk to you soon.
Thank you, Jessica.
I appreciate you. You too.